You're listening to Cheers Podcast, brought to you by Snoo Snack, the all-natural sleep remedy. Snoo Snacks are made with all-natural ingredients to help you get the best night's sleep the all-natural way. For more information, go to www.snoosnack.com. Today's guest is Zak Gosa-Lewis. Zak is a leadership organizer, Greek life director, and root beer activist. This is Cheers Podcast.
Okay.
Okay. Thing.
Okay. All right. I want to welcome on my guest, Zak Gosa-Lewis, for the 4th episode of Cheers Podcast. Zak, thanks for coming. Before we get started, I want to do a few housekeeping notes. If you like what you see on Cheers Podcast, like what you hear, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, and we appreciate all the support. Keep rating us, keep following, and share. Thank you. All right. This week, Zak Gosa-Lewis. Cheers, buddy. Welcome on.
Look at that.
Zak, how you doing? I know you have a long drive ahead of you.
First of all, Barks Root Beer is delicious. So I had to take a second.
Yes, not our sponsor, but Barks Root Beer is the drink of the week.
I leave tomorrow morning. I'm going to shoot for like 4 a.m. And it's about 40 hours total to Oregon. I'm going to be breaking it up. I'm going to be stopping a couple nights. I'm going to stop at my parents' house in Montana for a couple days. So
yeah.
It's not going to be fun, but it's going to be neat. I'm going to stop some landmarks and all that stuff.
So 40-hour drive. Let's give everybody listening and watching some context. Tell us what's been going on in your life recently why you're about to drive 40 hours.
Yeah, I'm just doing it for fun. So I was recently offered the job of assistant director at the University of Oregon in their fraternity and sorority life office.
Go Ducks.
Yeah, dude. It's a big opportunity for me. Definitely excited for it. It was a really quick process. I applied January 31st and got the job March 2nd. So with that, 2 quick weeks at MTSU to kind of wrap things up, and then a week on the road, and then I start March 26th. So it's just been a quick turnaround.
So how does that work with you accepting a job at another fraternity and sorority life and you being in one currently? Like, is it hard to leave in the middle of the semester, or are things kind of planing out at this point? Or
yeah, I mean it's definitely, like, personally it's tough because I don't like to leave things quote unquote undone, and I really wanted to get through the end of the semester. But the opportunity came up to apply for that job. It had been open before. They had done a search. It was unsuccessful, and then it reposted. And I had a lot of people that I really look up to sent me the job, told me to apply. Said that I would be a good fit, and there's only so many times you can pass up that kind of an opportunity.
Yeah.
So I applied and, was fortunate enough to get offered the job. But the biggest thing is the transition. So basically what I've been doing the last 2 weeks is preparing transition documents and stuff like that. Super exciting. Like, give us 5 minutes to get through the boring stuff. But just getting all the transition stuff ready. And it's been tough personally. I've been getting a lot of really good feedback. The best thing is that all the students that have contacted me have just had the nicest things to say.
Was that from MTSU or Oregon?
MTSU students.
So people saying bye, Zak, and
thank you for and I'm not getting detail, but just everything's been so positive, and everybody just is excited for me, which I couldn't ask for better. That's the biggest thing. Yeah. They know it's a big opportunity for me, a big step up, and so to have that is really cool, and to have the community kind of understand we're not mad at you for chasing after something you can do. It's been really great. It couldn't have asked for better from our students.
Yeah, I think that's the vibe that is all around the campus with that whole situation. Because when I found out about it, I messaged you and congratulations, and everybody I've talked to has been really excited about it. Yeah. And I've been in MTSU Greek life. I've worked under multiple people and worked under you as well. And every time somebody leaves, the vibe is usually critical. You're stressed out. Yeah. But I agree. Everybody when they found out is just really excited. I hate to say they're excited that you're leaving, but they're excited for you.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is that personal relationship. That's what I pride myself on, and that's what makes I think me good at what I do, is that I do value every single student, and I value the interactions, and so I think people are vested in me not just as I'm the coordinator of fraternity sorority life, but that I'm a person.
Right.
I'm real. They know about my life and what goes on with me, and so not to overshare, but just to be accessible. And so when they, found out I was going to Oregon, they're like, "Oh my gosh, that'll be perfect for you. You love the outdoors. It's you're going to be able to travel so much more and do all these different things, and they're really lucky to have you." And I just have been overwhelmed with the positive feedback, and it's really a testament to the community. I mean, they love me, and it means the world to me to have that come from, I mean, across the board, sorority women, fraternity men, every council, somebody has stopped by basically every day and just been, like told me a story or told me thank you or something. And it's just such a good feeling because I'm able to, with every one of them, tell them thank you too. Like, because it's every single one of them by sharing with me or by whatever they're doing helps me to get better at what I do and just to be a better person in general.
Yeah, no. And so one of the things, because again, I worked underneath you as president. You were over all the presidents when I was still at MTSU. And one of the things that I was thinking about is how important it is to be in groups. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you is like, how important is it to be in fraternity and sorority life? But that question like slowly evolved into like, how important is it to be a part of a group, something bigger than yourself? How do you feel about that, like that role in society and not just fraternity and sorority life? Because I know that's what you're involved in, but the principle is the same.
I mean, it goes from everything from a team. You'll ask a lot of people, what got you to join a fraternity or sorority? Well, I missed the team atmosphere. Or, you get a lot of non-traditional students that are veterans. I miss that military aspect of having brothers, having sisters, and having that. And so for me, I think it's just a testament to people operate better when they're with other people. They're able to not just hold each other accountable and do all the nitty gritty stuff, but they're really able to like see the best versions of themselves. You lift each other up. It is the opportunity that's there when you're in a group. When you're not in a group, you don't have an opportunity to do those kind of things. You can't really like embrace each other. You put yourself in solitude and it kind of removes you from your ability to grow. You're just going to be yourself and you're not going to be any better because you're not going to interact. You're not going to learn. You're not going to be challenged. You're just going to be. And so I think being in groups, I always tell everybody, it's like, it doesn't have to be a fraternity or sorority. Me personally, I believe it's the most impactful that way because of the history of it, because of ritual, because of all the things that play into it. It can be that for anybody who wants it to be.
Yep.
But at the same time, friend groups, you could have Bible studies, you could have faith-based groups on campus, you could have sports clubs teams. I mean, anything. I would just say that students, and it's factual, there's studies that show students are more likely to graduate if they join a group, a club, a student org, anything.
Absolutely.
They are more likely to graduate. So when it gets to the academic part of it, that's, it's there, it's proof, there's no debating it. But when it comes to like actually making the student better, I mean, coming from who I was at like 18 years old to who I am now, never in a million years without fraternity. Like it would not even be, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't feel comfortable talking in front of people. it just wouldn't be who I am. So I'm really blessed that, I kind of fell into it. And I think a lot of students that when they do give it a chance end up really loving it. But I definitely think in our society today, with as like conflicted people are and like, split up about this, split up about that. And it sounds so cliche, but it's true, is that if people come together, even if it's something small, even if it's, you come together during the week to play intramurals and on Sundays to have chapter meetings, that's still an opportunity for that interaction that you may not get. And that may make your day or it makes somebody else's day. And that's, I think, what the opportunity is when fraternity is done right. This is one of those oldest quotes like in our profession, but when fraternity is done right, it's the single most impactful experience that a young man or young woman can have in their college years. And I believe that. And
I agree, yeah.
That's why I do what I do. I mean, it's just it's a challenging field, weird hours, weekends, not great pay starting off. I mean, a million different things. And I stick with it because I know 100% that my Greek life advisor helped change my life when I was an undergrad and really pointed me in the direction of doing this job. So if I can get, one kid to realize their value, that's 100% worth it. 100%.
Where does that service, that like selflessness come from in you? I've noticed that in you, and not everybody has that. I would say that the average person would probably describe someone else as being more selfish than they are selfless. But you're not like that. Do you know what that comes from?
I mean, first of all, I appreciate that. That's a huge compliment to me. But I can say, like, shadow of a doubt. And if he tunes in, and I appreciate it. My dad is just the most selfless person. Everything throughout my entire life the decisions have never been about him. Never can I remember a point when he chose himself. He raised me by himself from the time I was 12. I'm very blessed too. My stepmom is amazing. My mom's amazing. Just one of those, like, the situations, the family is so weird, but it just didn't work out how it was.
Yeah.
And and it came back together in such a cool way to where like my dad and my mom and my stepmom are friends. Like they get along. It's not
awesome.
even like they call each other and they have conversations, and it's just really neat.
Yeah, that is.
But my dad, just his ability, he worked for Goodwill Industries for over 20 years, and his youngest brother was handy-capable, and my youngest brother is handy-capable. He's legally blind, and so I just always looked up to my dad in a different way. Do we fight? Do we argue? Yeah, all the time, and I think it's because we're so much alike. But if there's a reason why, for me, it's more important to put somebody first, is because all I saw throughout my life was him making those decisions, not just for me, his son, but for anybody. He did so much for so many people, and just was really just selfless in every aspect of who he was and what he did. And he continues to be that way. You know, he offered to fly down and ride with me the whole way.
That's cool.
And to drive. And, you know, he's got doctor's appointments and stuff like that, and he doesn't have a great back, and so I was like, he's already made that trip once this year. And I kind of like my reflection time, and so I just wanted to take this time
40 hours of it.
Just to kind of like enjoy it and stop when I wanted to and be able to do kind of what I wanted to in this trip, and big transitional thing. But yeah, my dad and also my stepmom, she's a nurse. So, I mean, if you want to talk about having two great examples, my dad worked for years, 2 decades with people with handy capabilities. And my stepmom is a nurse right now, and she's a nurse manager at a small rural hospital in Montana. And she does amazing, amazing work with students and like high school kids who are dealing with, they're on the brink of like drug addiction. Like it's very real possibility that could come in their life, or alcohol. She did this great thing with like suicide prevention up there, which like just touched my heart in like the craziest way. And it means the world to me. And she's just like, she's been a true blessing. He's a true blessing. My mom is super supportive. But my dad, like selfless to his core. Everything is about everybody else. There's very few times when I hardly ever hear him say like the word I even. It's just who he is.
I think that's important to have like somebody to look up to, whether it be a dad, a brother, a friend, a coworker, something like that, something to look up to. So I mean, that's great, dude. I love a good dad story.
Oh,
so shout out to all the dads, including mine.
Jeff is the man. Jeff is the dad.
Jeff and Troy.
No, Troy's the best dad name.
It is an epic dad name, that's for sure.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Props, Troy. Colton's a bang up kid.
I don't know what that means, but
that means good. That means good in dad talk. Don't
okay,
worry.
dad talk.
You'll get fluent. You'll start getting some grays.
when I get older.
You're working on the mustache. In like 2 weeks, you'll have some grays popping in, and then you'll be like bang up. You'll have Air Monarchs.
Well, this mustache jorts. Is all that's all I want is some jorts. This mustache is all about serious fun, though. Have you seen my campaign?
Yes, dude, that's awesome.
If you're watching, listening, please go check out my campaign. I'm raising money to either shave or keep this mustache through April. So I'll let the people decide.
Keep forever.
I'm service to the people is what this mustache is all about. But another question that I really wanted to talk to you about. You have your master's degree, correct?
Yeah.
What is it in?
It's in corporate communications, marketing, and PR.
Okay, so
it's kind of has nothing to do with my job.
Marketing.
Yeah, I mean,
PR.
But realistically, most of the people that do what I do have degrees in higher education or student affairs administration or a million other things. And all of my master's work is in communications and mostly focused in PR and marketing.
Okay. So I don't have my master's. It's something that I want to do eventually.
Yeah.
We had Zach Byrne on here a few weeks ago. He's working on getting his master's in some type of computer science field.
That's even something for me. Like, I have all my coursework done.
Yeah.
And most people know this, but like I haven't finished my thesis.
Okay.
Because it was like a big struggle point for me. And just tied in with a lot of like problems I was having and just not being able to really sit down and work on it because it caused a lot of stress and anxiety.
I'm sure.
And just life taking the course that it did in the last couple of years. But when it came down to it, like I got through my coursework, but I haven't finished my thesis. So that's even the thing is like I'm 26 and, in a master's preferred role, just got hired to another one. I don't have it finished, but finished the coursework. So, I mean, it's a process. I'll say your master's is a process. It takes forever. Don't do a thesis, whatever you do.
You get to choose to do a thesis or
not?
You
can either do you can do a thesis, you can do a project. It depends on the program. You do thesis, project, a research paper.
Can you do a dance?
Depending on what your master's is. I don't know what you're trying to get a master's in, Colton, but I imagine there's someone out there.
Economics, and it's interpretive dance.
I'm
so
gonna
I
say
will talk
no.
about
I'm going to say
the
hard
ups
no.
and downs of the stock market.
I appreciate the creativity, but I'm going to say that dusty old dean is going to be like, no, we're going to need you to do an econ research paper.
Well, maybe I won't get my master's. But what do you think is the value to the master's? Because there's like always the big debate whether you need your bachelor's even, or do you need your master's or your PhD? Where do you think it leaves off? Maybe in your field or just in general, do you think a master's is necessary for you? I would guess because you're doing it, so you must have thought it was necessary. But as a whole, how do you feel about master's programs, PhD programs, higher education, really?
I think the master's is more so just like showing that you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even think it's really about like necessarily what you learn sometimes. Because it is a much more condensed program. I mean, I learned more in 2 years of doing a master's than I did in all 4 years of undergrad.
Really?
Handedly. Because every class, there were no electives. Everything had to do with comm. Everything was directly related. Like, I didn't have to go take a swim class because I needed the PE credit.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the problems when you talk about education and higher education as a whole, is like you wonder why kids drop out. Well, they're taking, a kid has a passion for history and, English is related, but you're making him take biochem or you're making him take something completely unrelated. It just doesn't make sense. And so I think the master's, I learned a lot more, but to me it was actually the actual coursework was easier. I made all A's and had an 89.4 on one. So I finished with like a 3.99, and I'm not the brightest kid in the world, but like I genuinely think that the master's is something that people see as like a stepping stone. It shows that you're committed to something. It shows that you want to further your education, and you can like commit that time. I don't think some fields, obviously, it is something where you extend your education and you learn more new stuff. But I know in my field, like when I sat down and, I sat down in an interview and I was very honest with them, told them I hadn't finished it. And they're like, that's completely fine. It was like, your stuff. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. If you have a knowledge base and you can project that and be confident in what you know, no piece of paper is going to tell you what it is. Now, can a piece of paper get you in the door? Absolutely. 100% it will. I would always say that if you're going to get a master's, you need to try and get an assistantship, because the amount of student loan debt that you can take on for that is astronomical. I mean, even with an assistantship, my master's cost as much as my full undergrad.
Wow.
And I had a ton of scholarships. I was an RA. I mean, I did really well for myself in undergrad as far as like financially. Yeah. But it cost just as much for that 2-year degree as it did for my undergrad all 4 years. So it's a decision. I don't think if someone's stressing out about it and they feel like they have to do it, I don't think you're going to do well. You're not going to retain, and you're not really going to be able to enjoy it. And as crazy as it seems, you really can enjoy grad school if you do it the right way, especially if you have an assistantship or if you're a TA or whatever it may be. There's a lot of cool opportunities you can get in that kind of in-between phase. But I really think it's just up to the person. And as much of a cop-out as that may seem like, I really think it's up to that person to decide, do I want to focus more on I'm going to keep working, or I'm going to stop and go to school? I would always say, like, if you have the ability and the opportunity to keep working in your field, like if you're already, like where you're at, if you have a job with State Farm and you want to keep working full time and take your master's classes at night and kind of slowly do it, 100% you should do that. You should not stop working to go back and get your master's, because you're going to lose all that job experience you would have gained. Yeah. It's better to take your time and get the education slowly than it is in like a condensed block, because you're gaining, at the end of the day, no matter what anyone says, work experience is more important. You have to have the ability to do the job on a day-to-day basis, whether it's, engineering or whether it's what I do. I sit and talk to people all day and give advice and like figure out marketing strategies, and I help people program and try and figure out, how we can identify things that students need. And I learned how to do that without ever taking a single higher education class that was like student affairs or, student development theory. People ask me that in interviews, or ask me whenever I've gone to conferences, and like I've sat on panels and like, oh, what's your, favorite student development theory? And I'm like, none. I cannot tell you one, but I know I'm good at my job because I value the student. You don't have to have a theory to value something or to value someone or their experience. So when it comes to higher ed, I mean, you really just got to do what you feel comfortable in doing, but it can get you in the door, but it can also set you back if you don't do well. So it's really, you just have to be committed to the process of it.
Yeah. Do you know anybody who's ever like failed out of their master's program? I feel like I've never known anybody.
So, I mean, even I'm 100% like very transparent with where I'm at now. Like, I haven't failed out, but I also haven't finished it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all because of one paper.
You're like in between done and finished.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And so, like, it would be really easy for me just not to finish it ever. I'm working on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to end up being like a 120-page paper. And so, like,
a book, I think is what that's called.
Yeah, it ends up being that way. It's like single spaced, these really tiny font. You have to get out a microscope. It's miserable, but you just kind of have to, like. I don't think there's a way to fail in education.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think if you get into something and you realize it's not for you, then you need to, finish it out, do the best you can, and finish those classes, and then maybe reassess like what your major is or what your program is or whatever it may be. The biggest thing that like tears me apart when I see students do it is when they just give up.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to get out from under that. You're going to fight that for the rest of your collegiate experience.
Yep.
That one semester where you were like, oh man, I made a 30 on that test, I might as well give up. No. Like, make a 30 and then make a 50 and then make a 70. Like, at least try and pass the class. Get somewhere. Like, if you make a C, great. It may be a 70, but you didn't fail. You didn't fail that class. And so that's the biggest thing, is that don't get discouraged and like think that you're failing out. But as far as like an individual just not finishing it ever, I know some people that are in like my boat who are in progress and haven't finished. But I don't know anybody who started like a master's program, got like one semester in, and was just like, nah.
Exactly. That's what I was just thinking.
I feel like everybody,
go
once you get one semester in, you really realize that it's something you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, like, you realize that it's not as terrible as what you may think it is. And then you just continue on, because most master's programs are only 4 semesters.
Wow, that's fast.
You're really able to knock it out in a pretty expedited pace.
Yeah. Do you want to get your doctorate one day, or you just want to stop after? No, Dr.
Never.
Zak Gosa-Lewis?
No, dude.
That'd be kind of cool. Why not?
I don't. So when we talk about value, now if it was free, if I didn't have to pay for it, if I didn't have to pay for it, and they said, Zach, we're going to pay for you to get your doctorate, I would consider it. I wouldn't get it in student affairs. I wouldn't get it in what I'm doing. Because once again, I feel like I can bring a lot to the table without having my knowledge base, my educational knowledge base, in a classroom.
Yeah, you're more of a practice based.
Yeah, I'm practice. I'm all about, like, you have to get in there and you have to actually do it. I know tons of people on both sides of the fence. There's people that are like me that like try to be practitioners instead of, education wise, and they're not great at it. And then there's people that are 100% education based, and they can quote every single student affairs theory and like all student development and can't talk to a student. And so I'm just really lucky that I've had good people around me throughout my process of like getting into this field who have helped me kind of balance. And like, I probably know a bunch of student affairs theories. I just don't know that I'm using them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just doing what I figured out how to do. And so that, I think, is where it kind of comes from, is like, that's what they were doing when they decided, oh, this is going to be a theory because I did this and it worked out. And so that's what it is. So for me, it's not even really about like, you have to have something or you have to have that knowledge base. The doctorate thing would be cool. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, I was the first person in my family to get a college degree.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, in my like biological, like,
well,
my
congrats.
dad,
that's a big deal.
No, I appreciate it. And my dad went to college, and then some little, kid was born and just completely threw that off.
I wonder who that was.
Yeah, I don't know. He'd be about 26 right now. So if you know who that is, I mean, hit him up. He definitely wrecked my dad's life. My dad hated college. He has told me before, like, he 100% did not care when like my mom told him that she was pregnant because he hated college.
Wow. Was he like excited? He's like, great, I get to leave college now.
I don't know if he was excited, but he was like, oh, okay, well, I don't have classes anymore.
What?
But no, I was the first one, in my family biologically to go to college. I have an aunt who has a degree, and I believe she has her master's too. My stepmom has her bachelor's. She's an RN, BSN, and she's got a master's in nursing education. But outside of that, like my granddad has no college. My dad has some that he went. My mom didn't. None of her sisters. I think one of them went to like a community college program. But for me, it just was like it was a challenge, and I was really fortunate because they just always stressed education and how important it was to learn. Not even just in the fact of like what's in the book, but just to learn in general.
Yeah, I think that's super important. There's so much more to a degree than just like the thing.
I learned more from doing all the extracurricular stuff that I did in undergrad than I did, I think, in the classroom.
Yeah, I was told like my freshman year or something, some weird statistic along the lines of 10% of what you learn in college happens in the classroom. And I remember when I first heard that, I was like, yeah, that sounds like over. Yeah. And then now that's all said and done, like when I think back at college, I rarely think back at me sitting in class actually learning things.
I cannot remember most of like.
Yeah. I would have to
not
think.
For bad reasons, but I genuinely cannot remember like I remember some of my professors, and I remember some of the more interesting courses that were like conversation based. I remember those. I don't remember. I had to take Spanish. I don't remember
in college.
Yeah, I don't remember anything.
I couldn't take college.
I had to take Spanish 1 and 2. I made an A in both of those classes. I don't remember anything.
Okay.
Dude, like
nothing.
Like
nothing.
That's it. Like I can go in and I can order at a taco shop and know what everything is.
That's impressive.
But it's conversational.
Okay.
I've learned more in interacting with people who don't speak English and speak Spanish primarily than I did from being in that classroom for 2 semesters.
So back to the practice thing.
Yeah,
your practice.
Because you can learn like what's in the textbook is not how your average person, from a Spanish-speaking country speaks.
Yeah, have you ever read an English book? It's not this.
Yeah.
It's not this.
It ain't what I'm about. Like that's
ain't what I'm about. Okay.
But that's the biggest thing for me. So when you're forced to learn something, which is usually your classroom, you don't retain it as well. You just don't get the same from it. But being an RA taught me a lot. Being in my fraternity taught me a tremendous amount. Being on SGA, doing regional leadership conferences, I learned so much more through that than I ever did through like a class.
So you were in SGA when you were in college?
Yeah.
When is Zak Gosa-Lewis going to run for, I don't know, something,
Dude.
government?
So I'm not like
Senator
anti-gov
Gosa-Lewis
or anything like that. I just believe
I'm going to crop that to where it says I am
No,
anti-gov.
no. I just don't. Our system as a whole is not designed for the benefit of the populace.
Unfortunately.
No matter what you believe in, no matter if you're the furthest left or the furthest right, what they do in Washington is not for your benefit.
Or if that rarely. Somehow.
I won't even say a tenth. But, I mean, you get some good people that go up there and they go for the right reasons, and then they very quickly realize to get anything done, you have to do all the wrong things. And so I actually did political consulting. I started our college Republican chapter whenever I was an undergrad, was the president the whole way. I was the vice chairman for the whole state of Alabama for college Republicans. And Governor Bentley.
Alabama Republican.
Yeah, Governor Bentley, the one that got caught for cheating on his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the governor the entire time I was doing that.
So have you met him?
Yeah. No, there's pictures of me on the internet, like shaking his hand, and I've met him, and he was a sleaze. Like he just this is the problem with it, is that people knew that. Like people knew that about him. And he just kept on. And so like props to his wife for being the bravest woman ever and catching him. Like and exposing him.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But
how long ago was that?
It's been over a year and a half now since I think it was about a year when that happened, like the whole thing went down.
Yeah, okay.
But it's just kind of like being in politics, and this is not to say that it's a Republican thing. Like there were Democrats doing just as bad at things, and there were people that identified as independent and libertarian in every aspect of it. It's like we don't have two parties right now, no matter what anyone says. we have one party. They care about themselves, and that's it. And there's no real development. No matter who is in power, they're basically just fighting to nix one or the other out of power. And once they do, then they get full power and they do nothing with it. They do nothing to benefit the common person. Do I think there's some good things that like happen? Of course. You know, a lot of people argue against the tax plan, and I'll catch flack for it. I don't care. Look at your pay stub. You're getting more money back right now from Trump's tax plan. 100%. To the person, to, you know, the Democratic congressperson that was like, oh, it's, you know, it's pennies. I get $200 more back a month. $200 more is not pennies to me. With what I've made here, that is a tremendous amount of money. That's money I put towards my savings. That's money I put towards paying my student loans off. Like, that's a ton of money. And that, I think, is where you see the perception aspect of it, that they are out of touch because they don't realize. And the same thing with some, you know, Republicans, when you talk about healthcare, they're out of touch. All of them get free healthcare. People don't realize that. They get free lifetime healthcare. You get one term, free healthcare.
I need to run for government.
I mean, and that's the thing is like some of them realize and take it as a job.
Yeah.
And then they make it a career.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a career.
Career politicians is a problem.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so because, I mean, isn't the whole idea behind being a politician to serve a stint and then move on?
It should have been. I don't know if it's ever actually been in practice. I don't know if anybody, you know, people like to romanticize everything in the past, but people like to romanticize the Founding Fathers and act like they were just like, they had everything right. Like, no, they owned slaves. Like, they were still fundamentally flawed people because they did things that weren't okay. At the time, to their contemporaries, that was okay because everybody did it. But that doesn't mean that what they were doing was always right. That doesn't mean that they didn't have mistresses. That doesn't mean that they weren't, you know, doing what we would consider insider trading now. It's the moral compass. Like, you're judging these people who you send up there to do a job based on their moral compass. That is not, like, if you're electing someone because they seem like a good guy and, like, they're, oh, he stands in his faith. There are some things that, like, come to faith-based issues that, like, yeah, that will play a small part. But, like, it's his guiding principles. Okay, I'll give you the credit on that. But when it gets down to, like, what they're actually up there to do is they're up there to make your state money, make your state better, and hopefully help you out a little bit.
Yes, part 3 is us.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It gets to the point where it's like, you know, oh yeah, I have constituents. It's election time. And that's the rough part is like I saw that firsthand, and it just kind of really disenfranchised me with the whole system of it. And that's one thing I go back and forth on. I really, there's no right to it. No matter what anyone thinks. I mean, it's your ideas. And I think that is what's great about it is that people take the time to figure out what they feel and what they want out of their government. That is where it's at. But if you solely align yourself based on a party and you're, you know, doing party politics, you're missing like the whole, you know, a whole nother aspect of it. You know, you can, if I sit in front of you and I lay, you know, all the pieces out to make a sandwich and I lay it all out there. And then I lay some more pieces out and more some pieces out. And I lay out the best pieces in front of you. And then I lay out some okay pieces that you don't agree with, but they're on a sandwich that you like.
Okay.
Are you just going to take that sandwich because you like that sandwich, even though it doesn't have as good of like quality? You're going to take the better quality. So what's the problem with mixing and matching and like creating your own political identity? That's what people need to do. They need to understand that you can like this part of this and this part of the other and vote that way. You don't have to say, well, you know, man on the TV said I got to vote this way. You know,
man on the
TV said this is what I got to do, so I got to do it.
Yep.
You know,
politics are really divisive like that.
It is,
unfortunately.
And that's the thing is like people argue with me about it. I'm like, cool, that's great. We're having a conversation. Like
step 1,
I'm making you think about your political views. I'm fine with that. And if you don't agree, that's fine. You know, I think the system is broken. Can it be fixed? Define fixed.
Fixed.
Was it ever not broken? Was it ever in a state where it was truly benefiting the people? You know, once again, we remember things romantically. When something is gone, we remember the good of it. We don't remember the bad.
Yeah, like George Bush is like loved now.
Oh, dude, Grandpa George.
Grandpa George. It's
Grandpa
like
George is the best.
It's like, yeah, he's like this great guy now. I wasn't old enough to really formulate a real opinion. I just know like that I think there was a lot of controversy around his presidency, and now he's like this cool old guy who paints stuff. And just imagine in like 20 years, people will just be like, good old Donald Trump.
He'll be like, first of all, he'll be dead because he's like he's like 74 right now. He ain't gonna be kicking.
That was the weirdest thing about that last election is like everybody we had, I didn't know if they'd make it till the election. They were all old. Like Bernie Sanders, how old is he?
Hillary was collapsing in the middle of Central Park. You know, Bernie was losing it. It just no. I think, and that's the thing is like you bring up George W. Bush. I grew up in the time when it was like that was all going on, and high schoolers were starting to voice their opinions about politics, and it was neat because I got to like see it, and that was really for me developmental because he was a very, I won't say divisive president. I think people at their core didn't think George Bush was like a bad person.
Yeah,
you know, nobody was like, oh, he's just awful. He's just the worst, and you know he's not a family man, and he's just a terrible person.
Is that what people said about him?
No, people were like, I don't agree with what he's doing. Like, should we be in Iraq? Probably not. Should we but he's not the devil.
Yeah.
You know, he just is doing dumb stuff. And they didn't agree with his decisions, but they didn't think he was like a bad person.
Yeah.
I look at someone like Barack Obama, universally loved for the most part. Like people just thought he was the greatest thing ever. I think he was a good president. I think he gets hyped. You know, I think like the same people that praise him for all the great stuff he did forget the amount, like the thousands upon thousands of people that were killed by drone strikes underneath his administration. The level of surveillance that went up and was literally overstepped the Patriot Act that people were so freaked out about with George Bush. They did more. Like the NSA literally got caught. The FBI got caught. All of these things happened underneath his administration, but people forget that because it's Barack Obama.
It's like the golden age now.
He's cool, man.
After he's done.
He did commercials. He did that. He did that chocolate chip cookie and said, "Thanks, Obama." Like, wow, he was the meme president. Like, he was like the first one to get that you could have like the internet behind you, and it made all the difference. You didn't need the newspapers. You didn't need the TV behind you. If you had the internet, you had it in the bag.
You say he was the meme president?
He was meme president.
Oh yeah, him and Joe Biden.
He was just like hilarious and funny. But at the same time, it was scripted. Like if
he probably had writers.
Oh, I mean, well, I'm just saying, like so much of what he did, when you watched him do speaking without a teleprompter, rough, and I hate to be like that.
No, I don't know if I've ever seen it.
I'm big on like someone being a good speaker versus being like a good orator. Great at giving speeches. When they were put up in front of him, he was compelling. He you knew he believed every single thing that he was saying, but he was also reading it off a screen. So yeah, did he influence that? Did he write that? Sure, but I also know that he had writers write that up for him. And so like he was able to convey a message in a very convincing way. That's talent. Like he had a talent for that.
Yeah.
What are the best actors? It's not that they just can get up there and say the most random things. That's improv. That's different. The best actors can convince you that they believe what they're saying through a script. He did really well at that. He was a good, I think, once again, good person. No, like glaring flaws with his moral compass.
Yeah.
But just like people romantically remember people in a certain way, and they either think they just think they're the best now that they're gone.
Do you think that'll happen with Donald Trump?
I think people will look back on it and just laugh. I think people will just be like, can you believe that, like, thank goodness we have President Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson now. Like,
Kanye.
This is so much better than when we had, oh, wait, we're doing the exact same thing again. Like, that's the thing is, like, I think it's basically turning into, like, Celebrity Apprentice of, like,
presidents. It's close.
It's
close.
going to be, have you ever seen Idiocracy?
No.
You need to watch it.
Who is that?
It's, who's the other Wilson? Luke Wilson.
Okay.
He did it. Hilarious movie. Interwebs, go watch Idiocracy.
Interwebs.
It's hilarious. But the whole thing is like the government gets sponsored by Gatorade and like they get sponsored by fireworks and this and that and everything has a sponsorship.
Yeah.
And so like even the president in that is like this fallacy and farce of a joke, and he's basically like a WWE wrestler who got elected president. that's kind of like, and as much as I hate to admit, like that's where we're going.
Did that come out before Trump became president?
Oh, dude, that came out in like, I want to say like 04.
That's pretty accurate.
That thing's old.
Eventually that will probably happen. It'll be a popularity contest.
We literally have people who want to elect a former WWE wrestler.
Are you talking about The Rock?
Yes, dude. People
Please don't
want
disrespect him on my show.
People want that. I don't think you could. Once again, is he a bad person? No.
I don't know. We don't know yet.
No. As far as like charity work and all that stuff, dude's great. Like he's super awesome. He's super personable. But once again, it's a character.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that Dwayne The Rock Johnson is sitting at home formulating political strategies and thinking about what he would potentially do as a president, well, let me tell you, I got some lakefront property in Arizona that I'm going to sell you, and it's going to be great. Like you just need to understand the fact that like they're characters. They are told certain things that they're supposed to think and things they're supposed to say.
Mm-hmm.
Their message changes depending on who they're talked to. Like a politician is an actor at this point on a national scale. Now, and when you think about, senators and congressmen and those kind of people in D.C., there might as well be just a theater house. Like, it's all for show. Now, I do think there are great people doing good work on the local level and to an extent on the state level. And because those people aren't doing it for fame or for notoriety or for, all these different things. But do I think there are ones that are doing it to, go to D.C. and make a name for themselves? Absolutely. If you don't, and this is not to dog him because every president does it. Every president goes and makes money off of being the president afterwards. Mm-hmm. Look up how much money Barack Obama has made since he left the presidency. And
is it a lot?
It's ridiculous. He made
speeches?
He made over $400,000 for about a 45-minute speech. And guess who he gave it to?
I don't know.
Wall Street executives.
Was that after his presidency?
Oh yeah.
What do you talk about? I would talk about anything for.
I'm sure it was just motivational and like very generic and like talking about leadership skills. That's what those people. They all give the same like repackaged thing.
Yeah.
But the big bads, that it's the 99% and Wall Street hates us and doesn't care about us and Obama's the great shining knight and he's going to save us. The minute he wasn't the president, he started taking their money.
Is that a normal thing? Do a lot of presidents do that?
A lot of them do a lot of speaking and write books and those kind of things. And this is one of the things. A lot of our presidents come in really rich in the first place.
Yeah.
So they don't have to worry about that. But like Obama doesn't come from a tremendous amount of wealth or anything like that. So I mean, he's making his money. I'm not hating the man on his hustle. But if you believe that he like carries over these fundamentals in every aspect of his life and the moral compass is perfectly due north, then you don't know politicians. I mean, that's just not how it works.
You think that's a pretty blanket statement? Like most politicians probably have
a situation
like that?
on a national level.
Okay.
I think a lot of them, I don't think they're bad people, but I think they're not perfect. And we expect these people to be perfect up there. Or we treat them like they're perfect. That's the biggest problem. We make it seem like they're just the greatest. And they're not. They're no different than you or me at all. They're just normal people. They've had some good life experiences.
Yeah.
Some things have gone their way. They've worked really hard, to get where they are, to make those things happen. I don't think they're bad. I just think that it's political theater. It's the sake of showing.
Yeah, I've never had it described like that, but I guess there is a theater aspect to it because you need to get people's attention for them to vote for you, and so that is kind of an act or a theater thing. I mean, that's an interesting way of putting it because I've never thought about it like that before.
Poli-sci major.
Was that your major in undergrad? Vote Zak Gosa-Lewis.
Dude.
Will you be 35 and come 2020?
No, dude. Like,
all right, 2024.
Ouch. I
don't know how old
right
you
now.
are. Okay, we need about 9 years. The maths. I don't do them.
Yeah,
so
I don't do them. Once again, poli-sci major, so I didn't have to do it.
Roughly in the next years to 4 years.
Eventually. Yeah.
Zak Gosa-Lewis for Senate, President,
definitely
Governor.
Probably not. Like I would much more enjoy being on like city council or doing something like that.
That'd be interesting.
Because I think you can impart a lot of change and you get to see that change. That's what I love about my job now. Like I love working with the students and getting to see the things that I do that help them or like getting to see their idea come to fruition and like getting to encourage. And so for me even, I'm like, I don't ever want to be like a, president of a university.
You don't?
No, because you don't get to interact with the students on the same level.
That was one of my questions.
Oh, well, congratulations. I'm just reading your mind here.
Heads up, Zach doesn't want to be want to be a president.
I just
of anything.
Could it happen one day? Sure. Everything. I would have never thought. If you asked me a year ago, I would have never thought I'd be moving to Oregon right now.
That would have been a weird guess. If this time last year, you're like, I'll probably be in Oregon next year.
I would have never thought in my life to this time last year that I would live outside of, I'd say, the Southeast.
Yeah.
As far as like North Carolina, South Carolina, down maybe over to Texas.
That's where you've always spent your life so far, right?
I've moved around a ton.
Yeah.
But it's always been in that geographical location. So I would have never thought I would have gone any further than that.
Are you nervous about going that far?
Yeah, I'm pretty hype.
Do you feel like
I'm very much there for it.
What is Lewis and Clark? Do you feel like Lewis and Clark making your way across the nation like that? That's you tomorrow, actually.
Dude, let me go ahead and tell you this. This is, some people know this, some people don't. I'm a huge comic book guy.
Yeah?
I love comic books. Read comics all the time. A lot of times on my lunch break, like I'll sit in my office, eat lunch, and read comic books that just came out.
Like hard copy comic books?
No, I read them online because, once again, salaries.
Back to that salaries.
I read them online because they're free. Sorry, I'm not supporting you, but I'll go watch all the Marvel movies. Like, okay. Just kind of figure it out.
That's fair trade.
But, so you mentioned Lewis and Clark. Really, really great comic out there right now called Manifest Destiny.
Ooh.
You should. It's about Lewis and Clark.
It's a comic.
Yes.
People still make comics.
Dude,
I've never read a comic. Is it like pictures?
Let me do this. Graphic novel is what they call them. It is a comic book. It's about 30 pages at a time. And they're just, I'm telling you what, I think you'd really enjoy them. Anybody who hasn't, dude, get out there and read a comic book. And don't read like Captain America, Iron Man. Like, no, you know what that is. Image Comics, things like that. Dark Horse. Read some stuff that's kind of like has some realism to it. Those are really awesome. The Lewis and Clark thing is cool because it has a historical aspect, but it's also kind of switched. So there's that one. There's one called Rough Riders that's about Teddy Roosevelt.
That's cool.
It's a really, it's like steampunk Teddy Roosevelt.
Who was a better Rough Rider, Teddy Roosevelt or DMX?
You didn't even have to say it.
DMX. Okay.
His album shaped my middle school formative years.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
Had that completely memorized.
The whole thing. Even his Christmas special song.
Year of the Dog.
Year of the Dog.
Year of the Dog.
And he I think he started, this is a total assumption, but I think he started the whole like random noises in the background of music, like barking and like yelling like different things in the background, which I love.
Dude, I mean, he was like, I loved him. I just thought he was the greatest.
You love him?
I thought his music was the greatest. He just was so aggressive and just like angry.
He's still pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know about what.
I think now it's the drugs.
He's on drugs? How old is he?
Google it. We won't get off into that.
If our producer was here, I would have him pull up DMX facts right now.
Give it the Google. No, I just like, I've always been kind of like different in the fact of like when other, younger white kids that were my friends were like, they're angry at their moms and like all that stuff.
Yeah.
They were like listening to Avenged Sevenfold, and I'm listening to like, I'm listening to Year of the Dog and just like spin off every verse to like party up. And
that's definitely different.
With it. I moved around a lot and I played sports. And so my identity was not like, I didn't play baseball.
Yeah. What sport did you play? Basketball.
Basketball, dude.
Yep.
Basketball and football. And I did track.
Were you a tight end?
Yeah.
Football?
Tight end, defensive end.
Knew it.
Tight end, defensive end. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I threw shot put, javelin, and discus. Loved it. I sat on the bench a lot in basketball. Loved it too.
That sounds fun.
I was a hype man. I loved it. I didn't start playing basketball like league-wise until I was like 11 or 12. So late bloomer. Also very Caucasian. My dad gave me that whole selfless thing. He did not give me a vertical or any athletic ability.
That's okay.
Sorry, Jeff. We both know it's true. I'm randomly like 4 inches taller than him. I mean, that kind of helped me out.
That's closer.
Yeah.
With your arm extended, that's like a whole foot.
Dude, I'm doing okay. I'm not mad that I'm tall.
Can you dunk?
I could. I used to.
Used to?
I used
so you
to
can't
in high
anymore?
School. No. I broke my leg my junior year of high school. I have a titanium rod in it.
Which leg?
Right leg.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's rough. How'd you break your leg?
Plant leg. Football.
Nice.
Yeah, no.
Football is rough.
Dude, it jacked me all up. But yeah, so I mean, back to the whole point of it. Lewis and Clark and all such on and so forth.
That got way out.
Yeah, dude, it always does. That's the good stuff. takeaways. Read comic books if you never have.
Okay.
They're awesome. I'll tell you sites like hit me up on Instagram. I'll tell you what it is at Dwight Iverson. I will
Iverson.
I will let you know some good comics. I will put you on to some stuff. I'm not going to put you on to like, oh, tell me about the new Black Panther comic. I don't read it. Sorry. I don't read Captain America. I don't read Iron Man. I've read all of it. They recycle the same 10 stories over and over again. Like, that's it. Sorry.
It's the same story,
No,
yeah.
I read short collections where it ends. Like, that's it. I need a beginning, middle, end. I don't need, like, Tony Stark coming back to life like 16 different times.
Oh, I need Tony Stark. That guy is the man. More robots, more science, the better.
There are so many better examples of that aren't Tony Stark.
Name 3.
Dope stuff. Name 3?
I'm just kidding.
No, like genuinely.
But if you can, yeah.
Okay, so, and the hype train is big on her right now. Very big. But Shuri from Black Panther, the thought right now is that she'll be the new Ironheart, which will be the new Tony Stark. So if Tony Stark dies in the new Avengers, look for her to jump in. But also at the same time, some shift will have to happen with like Black Panther because I don't think Marvel will commit to having a brother-sister duo on the Avengers. But right now in the comic books, there is a young African-American lead in not the main Iron Man, but in Ironheart, which was the spinoff of it. And so a very easy transition to make happen for the screen, as they've done with a ton of things. They don't follow comic books exactly. They kind of, sort of, and like they change a few things here and there. When it comes to like tech people, I think when you look at the comics versus the movies, like Bruce Banner, totally underexplored. Like, yes, I know there was the one with Edward Norton, and like, but it's different. Like, we need some more Hulk. And we need not Hulk, we need Bruce Banner, because he's one of the smartest people in the Marvel Universe. And,
is that right? Is that how it's staged? He's like really smart?
Oh, he's incredibly smart.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and read comic books. Also, Peter Parker, they have him played off as some like, I mean, he is smart in the movie. Yeah. But he is incredibly smart. He is one of the smartest people in like that universe.
Really?
Yeah, in the comics. He's incredibly smart.
He's like, well, I guess he's not really smart in the newest movie. He's really smart. But if that makes any sense.
He's like,
not like
he's the smartest kid in your high school.
Yeah, which, depending on your high school, that could be not smart at all.
Yeah. If it was my high school, it was not very smart.
No.
Finished top 10%. Not a very smart high school. We did okay. It was Mississippi. I know what I'm about.
Boom. There it is. All right. So after a little bit of talk about our old high school and Lewis and Clark.
Yes.
And side note, do you think that Lewis and Clark, how long ago was that? Like 200 years?
That was in the late 1700s.
Do you think that when they did that, they could have ever imagined that all these years later that you'd be taking a Chevy across the United States in 40 hours instead of however long it took? You think they ever saw that one coming?
You know, looking at, so like the background of it, Meriwether Lewis, very intelligent. Clark, more so the military mind of it. Good friends from what we have, like historically.
Yeah.
I think they could get it. I think they realized like what they were doing had purpose to go out and like expand, and people would start living there, and like that would become our nation.
That's so crazy.
I think now, can they predict vehicles? Like we've had depictions of that, back to then. I mean, Leonardo da Vinci and people like that were trying to figure out ways to do something similar. Yeah. And so did they exactly know? No. But did they have a perception that like one day people would be able to traverse that so much easier based off of what they did? Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were on a mapping expedition. That 100% the purpose of that was so that someone could go and do what they did in much less time because they knew the exact route.
Is that like a road now? Is there like a road that's like this is the route of?
There's like a highway that like kind of goes with it, and then there's a trail.
I think that'd be like so cool.
State parks that kind of like have historical monuments in it. Yeah. But I don't know if there's like I doubt there's like an actual road because they traversed a good bit by water. Rivers and stuff.
With Sacagawea.
Dude, Sacagawea. Like I'm telling you, this comic book is just flashing through my head. It's really good. Get out there, read more.
Get out there, read more.
Yeah, not actual books. It's overrated. Picture books, aka comic books,
aka Instagram.
I mean, There's comic book pages on Instagram. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, so and you know this guy. We had him on last week. His name is Austin Sawyer.
Old Sawston Sawyer.
I love that. Sawston Sawyer.
Sawston
So
Sawyer.
as described, and I think you're a really big fan of this description, internet personality.
Dude.
I asked him quotations.
Yeah.
I asked Austin what is the best social media. And before we started recording, you got to talking about how you hated Instagram. What do you think is the worst social media right now?
I don't hate Instagram. I enjoy it as a platform, but I also enjoy it because people are able to selectively show you what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it can be a really good social media page or social media platform if utilized correctly. So this is a lot of what I did with my master's work, is like looking at social media platforms and like how they're utilized by brands and whatnot. As a person, you do craft a brand.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of people think way too far into that and like give themselves way too much credit for who they are and like what they do.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say you're not important, but like quit thinking that you're you're not curating a page. You took a black and white selfie of the donut you ate in East Nashville. Like, congratulations. That same picture has been taken probably 1,000 times in the last year and a half. I like it when people utilize it. You can utilize it for entertainment. That's great. I think that's a good way. People publicizing their music. It's a great medium for up and coming unsigned artists. You can put clips out. You can do. It's great. It's a great piece of advertisement for those ways. I hate ads on Instagram. If I could pay like $1 a month to not have those stupid ads pop up, I'd pay it, because I'm absolutely sick of it that they just pop up.
Doing it when you're scrolling and it's like a random picture.
I'll pay $1 a month. You heard it here first, Zuckerberg. Like, I'll pay $1.
Does Zuckerberg own Instagram?
Yeah, dude.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought they were just their own entity.
No, he bought them out. Yeah.
That's like Amazon buying everything.
I mean, basically.
Yeah, I
But
found out Amazon owns Twitch too. I don't know if you knew
Yeah,
that.
Amazon owns everything.
That's
Jeff Bezos, genius.
Genius.
Richest man, I think, in the United States, maybe the world.
Probably.
Yeah.
Except those people who don't have to report their money in other countries. They might be like Putin. People think he might be the richest man ever
Possibly.
because of all the things that he's taken and now holds. So
the holdings. But yeah, when it comes to social media platforms, I like Instagram. I use it the most.
Mm-hmm.
I like it because there's such a crazy amount of different things on there.
Yeah.
So like you have fact pages, which are cool. You have recap pages where it talks about, like comics coming out. Music pages where it's talking about new artists that are coming to the verge.
Mm-hmm.
You have things for, artists that are trying to put themselves out there. You have, friends and stuff from high school. I don't follow a ton of people because for the most part, people post things on both, on Facebook and Instagram. So like if it's just somebody randomly that I'm like kind of remember, but not, we're like tight, they'll be friends on Facebook and I can like scroll through and see whatever they got.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff I follow on Instagram are people that are like current in my life, like people that I interact with on a daily basis.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because it's neat,
Kind of a current thing because you're seeing like their current events in your life,
exactly.
so you feel like connected to them.
And then you can the thing for me is you take that off and you have conversation based off or whatever it may be. But I genuinely, Facebook is dead. When it comes to what it is, it being a popular platform.
I think its growth is dying, but I think it's still huge. So people use it.
I think in the sense of popularity, it is for... I told someone the other day and they kind of got offended. I was like, Facebook is for old people. Be offended. I have Facebook. I look at it, but it's because my stepmom sends me things. Or like my mom tags me in pictures of my little brother. Or, I use it to interact with my, aunt who lives, not a close reach. She lives in Texas, and I like it because I get to see pictures of my little cousins who, play football, basketball, and do track.
Yeah.
And I get to see videos and stuff of that. And she may have an Instagram. I don't know. Anthony, if you got an Instagram, sorry.
Sorry.
I just use Facebook because
Follow
it's really
him
cool. Well, I've gotten
at
to see,
Dwight Iverson.
Yeah, I've gotten to see like from afar, their first football game.
Yeah.
Their first basketball game. It's like Facebook is your scrapbook. Like of family memories being uploaded.
Yeah.
Instagram is more like friends, like people or if you have interests that you want to see visualized, short attention span things, quick, go.
Yeah.
I've never been a Twitter person. I've never had a Twitter.
You don't have a Twitter?
I don't have a Twitter.
I thought you had a Twitter.
I've been told I need to have a Twitter.
You need a Twitter.
Getting into speaking and all that stuff and like doing, having it as a platform.
You need to get on there and make sure that you have Dwight Iverson on lock before somebody else gets it.
I just like genuinely, I don't doesn't do anything for me.
You're never on it? I think if you had the
No,
app...
I've utilized it. I've utilized it before. And here's the thing. You don't have to have a Twitter profile to go on Twitter and look at things.
You don't?
No.
Huh.
You can go on there and just search for whatever.
That's kind of nice.
So, like, if it's the trade deadline, I can go on there and look at the trade deadline, tracker through different ESPN personalities.
Yeah.
And see what's going on. I don't have to have a Twitter profile to do that. So it's for me.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I don't have enough, I have plenty to say, but I don't have enough to say on the internet where I feel like I need to have a medium where it's literally just words. It just doesn't do it for me.
There's pictures on there too, though. People are doing GIFs and stuff like that a lot more.
But I'd rather have Instagram for that. I like Instagram better for that.
I think you should get on Twitter. Twitter's been fire, in particular this year, more so than normal. All the time, I see people with just huge tweets all the time. I feel like that used to be few and far between. Now I'll scroll and it won't surprise me if I see something retweeted and it has 100,000, 200,000 favorites, and I see another one 10 tweets later that's been tweeted or retweeted by somebody else.
So can I tell you I had a Twitter account once?
You can tell me.
It was a parody account.
For Austin Sawyer?
No. This was when I was a sophomore.
In college? Okay.
So when you get announcements through MTSU or through your college, you get the announcements and it comes from a person usually.
Yeah.
There's a name tag to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that guy, when I was an undergrad, his name was Bob Lowry.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Lowry was the guy who announced when school was going to be closed, when
I like where this
parking
is going.
was closed, when anything in the world was going on South Alabama's campus. It was him.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody always complained. He had the roughest life because people were like, it's raining. We're still in school. I'm like, yeah, we know. You live in Mobile, Alabama. It rains all the time. You should have gone to school somewhere else if you thought you were going to get out for rain. I live in New York City and I'm going to get out for snow. No, you know geographically what you signed up for.
Right.
So I would make jokes in the fraternity house about what Bob Lowry was going to respond, what he was going to say. And then I just made a Twitter one day.
For Bob Lowry.
As your boy Bob Lowry. And I'm pretty sure it's still up. And there's some stuff that I'm not proud of on there. But think again, I was 19. And it's just funny.
Did people follow it? Did people think it was the real Bob?
Oh, no, they knew it wasn't him. But it was just funny stuff. It was the president's new car. And it was Noah's Ark getting to class because it had rained for literally 17 days straight.
Yeah.
Just everything that you could think of. Because it was just it's mocking the fact that people think what they say is going to change the mind of a university with 20,000 students.
That's kind of funny.
I'm upset.
Did anybody tweet at you?
Oh, all the time.
Hey, Bob, we need out of class.
Yeah. What's the deal with weather, Bob? The deal is you're still going to class. Just little stuff and it never got hugely popular, but it was still funny. And it was always, I loved that because people would talk about it around me and didn't know it was me.
Do you know Bob has a Twitter?
I was Twitter Batman for a hot minute.
Did you wear glasses all the time too?
Dude, I enjoyed that experience, and that for me was when I started to realize, because you got to think about the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2012.
Yeah.
Twitter's a way different place back then than what it is now.
Oh, yeah.
And it was more so booming at the time and coming to life and fruition and kind of hitting over that initial oh, what is this? Until now we're, oh, okay, I see value in this, and people were starting to put ads on there and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's that's fun. You're enjoying it. It's funny. And I think the thing is when people take themselves too seriously on social media platforms, pump the brakes, man. You need to realize that you're a person.
Yeah.
You need to have more value in who you are than what your social media tells people you are. That's
a deep comment.
Dude, I
that's
don't...
deep. See, you need a Twitter. You drop that, Twitter's going to cease.
But here's the thing. I'm having to utilize a social media platform to tell me that my opinion is validated. So I'm therefore invalidating my own quote about social media by putting it on social media.
Woke.
Explosions.
Everybody who's listening is woke now.
But it's just I don't see the need for it. Do I enjoy Instagram? Yes. Is it cool when I get some a lot of likes on something or when someone replies to my story?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny because guess what? It's my friends.
Yeah.
I'm interacting with people I know. I don't have strangers like being like, LOL, bro. Like, no. I have my best friend from undergrad sending me like, oh man, that's funny. Or like my other, but like you just have to make the best of it. And you know, you have not shock humor, but just like have fun with it and just enjoy it. Like my buddy sends, Austin's a great example. I send him memes all the time. He sends me memes all the time.
He's a meme king.
Yeah, I send Jacob stuff all the time. You know, Jacob
Yeah,
Harrell.
shout out Jacob Harrell. It was his birthday yesterday. I hope you
know,
told him.
I did.
He's 21.
I did. Hope he's alive somewhere.
Oh, I haven't talked to him today, so I really don't know. Jacob, please be alive. Austin did the same thing. This table is plastic, so you have to knock on the thing if you want to knock on wood.
There you go.
There you go.
So no, I think the biggest thing with social media platforms is like it has as much value as you give it.
Mm-hmm.
Same as with other people's opinions.
Yeah.
You know, it just is what it is. It's funny and it's a good way. I send stuff to my best friend. He lives in Nashville.
Yeah.
I send him stuff all the time. Like we'll just send stuff to each other throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be everything from like a trade happening in the NBA to this like a picture of a puppy sneezing. And like, okay, like there's some change in value in what's going on, but you just kind of got to enjoy it. And that's, I think the biggest thing is that people get stressed about it or they worry about how they look in their pictures and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, quickest way I can encapsulate this is, and this is a thought that I've had for a long time, I really respect and appreciate, you know, there's a tremendous amount of young women who go on Instagram and use it as a motivational platform for other young women. And a lot of it's, you know, self-love and beauty and, you know, like all this and redefining those characteristics and embracing who they are. And a lot of it has to do with weight loss.
Yeah.
And, you know, going from this to this, but still talking about how they still feel insecure. They still feel like the, you know, the girl in the before picture.
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful. I think that's awesome. I think that's the way it should be utilized. You know, that is encouraging to people. Here's my thing. Why, and this is when I get off in my other little area, why are there not those for guys?
Like motivation
Yeah,
to feel...
like,
yeah,
like
it's...
we can't like lift each other up because we feel weird about it.
There's definitely still a stereotype around that. Yeah.
See it. Well, there's a great example. There was a girl popped up. One of my buddies is really into bodybuilding and weightlifting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you go through search, you see what comes up, liked by, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that was popped up was a weight loss thing for this girl. And to be frank, she had very little clothing on, but she was doing a bodybuilding competition where she was posing.
Yeah.
The before picture she had on, you know, like some spandex shorts and like a sports bra. And it's like, if a guy did that and like put it out there in front of his friends, like he'd get roasted.
He would get roasted.
He would get roasted from the jump.
But you think that's just like kind of how guys communicate?
But why?
I don't know why.
Here's the thing. Why? What good comes of that? Like that does nothing, because whether people want to admit it or not, those guys that are roasting him are having the same thoughts. They have thoughts of insecurity. They have thoughts that they're not valuable. They have thoughts that they're not handsome enough. They have thought that they're not skinny enough. They don't have big enough, you know, arms. Their abs aren't defined enough. All of those things, man. Is that your phone?
I think that's Kyle's phone.
Kyle left his phone.
Here, we'll pause here. That'd be funny if we answered. All right, so we got that flagged for pausing. But anyways, go on.
Oh, okay. I just think that there's a potential for it. And it's something I've even, you know, contemplated doing about not making my page like a weight loss page, but even discussing it. I mean, I get people ask me all the, you know, not all the time, but I have students ask me, you know, like, oh, you've lost a lot of weight. How'd you do it? You know, people in the office, how'd you do it? You know, what did you do? Oh, you look skinny. Like, you look like you lost a lot of weight. I'm like, you know, this is what I did. And, you know, I've lost over 35 pounds and got down.
Congrats.
And, like, really, yeah, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Dude, I'm in
easy.
I'm in slim fit jeans.
And you look good in those jeans, Zach. What brand are those jeans?
I have no idea. I got them from Ross because they were $14.
Shout out Ross for making Zach look slim.
Ross, Walmart knockoff Vans.
I thought those were real Vans.
These are knockoff $10 Walmart
First
Vans.
of all, Walmart is stepping their game up.
Dude.
I heard some girls the other day talking about how like they went to Walmart and got like some things that they refer to as cute. And I was like, so is Walmart like, is it popping now? And they were like, yeah, like it's cool.
It's cheap Target.
Target.
That's what they should market themselves as.
Do you think Walmart has root beer this good?
Boylan? Is that the name of it?
It says Boylan. Boylan Bottling Company.
Is it good though? We haven't tried.
It's made with
yet.
cane sugar.
We haven't tried.
We need to
don't
get into
know
this.
If it's good.
We need to get into this.
It may be hot garbage.
It's gonna be cold garbage though, because we have there's no fact. We had Snapple facts last week, and that was
because Austin's 13 years old.
Yeah, he specifically requested Snapples.
That's interesting. Old Sawston.
Sawston.
It's a little frat son.
Austin 23 or whatever.
Dude, hit me up.
I got you.
Yeah, Austin, he changed. Props to him. Okay. When it was Christmas time, he changed his Instagram name to different things that like had to do with Christmas, but still put his name in. Austin,
I didn't see that.
Austin dropped that in the comments. Those were funny. I gave him props. Those were good.
What's his? Sturgill Simpson did that too. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Sturgill Simpson did something like that too. I wonder who did it first.
Goat. Probably Sturgill Simpson and Austin.
What if it was Austin though?
What
if he got
Austin
it?
did
Sturgill
and
Simpson.
Sturgill Simpson saw Austin.
Sturgill Simpson lives in Nashville.
Yeah. That's plenty of a connection.
Remember how I said internet personality? It's all coming together.
Not as good as Barks.
It's not. Sorry, Boylan Bottling Company, but I've never had either.
Swing and a miss.
Swing and a miss. It's not nearly as good.
When's their scents from? When were they founded?
Probably after Barks.
Established 1891. Guess what? Barks came out 7 years later and they got it right.
They had a few years to get it right.
They had a few years to get it right. You should have been doing something else because it's just not.
You know what it is?
It's not bad.
Yeah.
But it's not good.
It's not bad, but it's not Barks.
That was a clap. That was fantastic.
If I don't get a sponsorship from Barks after this episode,
I was gonna say it's done now. It was like there went my sponsorship hopes.
It's not bad, but it's not Barks. They should actually. It says it's good. That's their saying is it's good. It's not bad. It's good. I don't know, but I think what it is that theirs uses real cane sugar, and this one is artificially flavored. So.
You know what? But here's the thing: Barks one of their things like Barks has bite. I think used to be one of their like slogans back in the day. It like. You feel a little like tingle in the back of your throat when you drink Barks.
When I poured it,
different.
Yeah, when I poured it, it was like very fizzy.
Yeah,
this one was not. It definitely has a bite to it.
It's different. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not as good as Barks. That's gonna be my new Instagram bio. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not as good as Barks.
Yes, that's great. It's all bark and no bite.
Oh.
It can go on. Bark, if you're listening.
Yeah, Barks.
Barks.
Beer, come holler at me. Mississippi's own. About it.
If you're listening, me and Zach are full of puns about your brand. And,
we're ready.
I mean, between the two of us, we have like a few thousand followers. So
you must have a majority of that. I've got like 450.
There we go. We're at a few thousand.
Yeah, we're at a few thousand now. Mostly Colton, like 75%. It's no big deal.
It's like a 70-30 partnership.
I was very late on the Instagram train.
Yeah.
It came out when I was an undergrad, and I never got one. And then I started using it, and I really do enjoy it. Like, Discover is my jam. Like,
you go on Discover a lot?
Yeah, dude.
See, I don't. There's always like
the time.
Like all this crazy stuff on Discover.
Here's the thing: is I go on Discover because I don't follow a ton of people.
Yeah.
So like I can get through what everybody's posted in the day like relatively quickly.
Are you private on Instagram? Is your Instagram private?
No, I'm public.
You're public?
Care,
See, me too. I'm public too.
Life, bro.
Yeah, I'm public too because I feel like I want anybody to go check out what's going on. I don't know why I feel that way.
I'm not important enough to like hide what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. I'm just a dude. Like I
don't know. Yeah. Now that you say that, from now on when I see somebody's Instagram that's private, I'm gonna be like, who do you think you are?
Yeah. Who do you think you are?
What do you have going on behind that wall?
Wow. I'm sure your 600 followers are seeing something really worthwhile. Wow.
Man, that was.
It's people take themselves too seriously, man.
I think people do take themselves too seriously.
Someone who's listening right now, of the probably 5 people who'll listen because it's me and not somebody important.
If you share this, a lot of people will listen.
Oh, I'll share it, dude. I'm about it.
I need you to Instagram it, Twitter it.
Hey, I'm telling you.
Facebook it.
My mom.
I need you to Skype it.
Aunt Tanya.
Do you still have Foursquare? Because these pop on Foursquare.
I do not have Foursquare. I never had Foursquare.
We're not going to get very many listens.
Oh, sorry. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use my old MTSU account to spam it and just send it out to everybody.
Oh, man.
I'm completely kidding. I don't have the password for it anymore. I don't want any of that to happen. That was a complete joke.
I need you to, when you get to Oregon and you get all the new guys' emails, I need you to just blast it to all of them and say, hey, if you want to learn a little bit about me, watch this podcast.
Where I talk about comic books.
And politics.
My love for Barks Root Beer and my disdain for politics. That's what
they're going to learn a lot about you.
My tombstone's going to say, loved root beer, hate politicians.
That should be your Facebook
end.
headline. Loves root beer, hates politicians.
I mean, it's good root beer.
Did you know that Barks is named after the root is called a bark?
Did you know that that's not right? Yes,
No.
that is exactly it. Okay, so quick last talk about root beer.
Yeah.
I genuinely, I really do enjoy it. It's like probably my favorite soda of anything. I will drink that over a Coca-Cola or anything any day. But it's not everywhere. So I've asked before for someone to grab me a root beer, and they've gotten me garbage, also known as anything other than Barks. And so I said one time to an ex, I said, hey, can you grab me a Barks while you're in there? She comes out and she's like, there's no Barks. And I was like, what? Like, I think we were in Mississippi at the time. I was like, yeah, there is. I was like,
There's Barks.
There's Barks in there. I go in and buy one. I come back out, and I'm like, this is Barks. And she's like, that says Bangs.
Did you break up with her on the spot?
Once again, if you don't know what Barks root beer is, it is spelled B-A-R-Q apostrophe S in cursive. Think about that in your head and what it looks like.
It doesn't look like a G to me.
It doesn't look like an N to me either, but she thought it said Bangs.
Bangs.
That became a running joke the rest of our relationship, because I'd be like, hey, babe, can you grab me a Bangs?
Can you grab me a Bangs? You should start a competing company.
There's no competition to Barks root beer, man.
I forgot about that. As long as you don't use cane sugar, because it's just not as good.
Boylan Bottling Co.
We gotta try these other ones. What's going on with this one?
IBC's not bad.
IBC's not bad.
IBC's kind of a classic. We're out of ice, so I mean, there's not really.
Let's just drink these straight out the bottle then. IBC root beer.
Once again, made with cane sugar.
Oh.
I don't care.
This one's since 1919.
Oh.
They were really
weak.
So late to the game.
Yeah.
These people were probably born after Barks was created.
They probably tried Barks and they're like, oh man, we could definitely do, and then they fail.
It's not bad. It's warm, but it's also not bad.
Better than Boylan.
So right now we're at Barks, IBC, Boylan.
But here's the thing. You get that fizziness from the IBC like you do from the Barks. But
that's key.
But here's the thing. The IBC tastes like flat Barks.
And the Boylan tastes like flat IBC.
The Boylan tastes like flat trash. It's not
flat trash.
That's going to be my podcast we're going to start next week. Flat Trash, where I judge everyone's products that have been around for 120 years.
That would be kind of an interesting show if you just brought on different, like a line of different products, like a bunch of different lemonades.
That has to exist already.
But it's not about who's first nowadays. It's about who has the best production. So if you can make a better podcast, a review podcast, yours is the one.
Dude, you know what? It's funny. This is like one of those, not bucket list, because I think if that was on a bucket list, it'd be pretty sad. But I've always wanted to be on a podcast. So
dude, there's nothing wrong with that.
I think it's really cool.
It's fun, right?
And me and my buddy have joked around a million times about starting a sports podcast.
You should.
Oh, it's something we definitely both have like a ton of interest in.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like, I think it's a great medium, and I think that this is like evolved into something that's so cool.
Yeah.
That anybody anywhere, really, I mean, y'all have got a great setup, so this is awesome. But anybody anywhere really with like a webcam and a good,
you just need your phone.
Halo light can put on a pretty, decent production, a good mic. You can go on Amazon and probably spend $150 and have a full setup.
You're done. There's actually a podcast package on Amazon.
I 1,000% believe that.
It like comes with a small interface, a mic, a stand, I think maybe even software, and like you can order the package. It's literally for podcasting.
Yeah.
And it's not that much. I think it's less than $200.
That's in the cart now.
Added to cart. If you need anything for a podcast, just let Kyle know. He has a cart on Amazon, like a pre-save, that literally has like just lines and lines and lines of everything you could possibly think of.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, I mean, it took us a while to get all this together, but actually, all of this is from Amazon too.
Dude,
everything we're using.
Shout out Jeff Bezos. Like, you're on it, bro.
Is it me or is the warm IBC actually better than the Boylan?
It is. I just chugged the Boylan because I just wanted to get it out of the way.
I'm gonna polish it because I need to try that one. Yeah.
Sioux Falls. I have high hopes for Sioux Falls. Once again, made with cane sugar. Why are we bragging about this? It's yet to get anyone anywhere. Let's see. Let's look at caloric intake. Got 160 calories. Boylan's got 170. Also
This one's
not
got
good.
160 calories.
Okay, so we've got 3 at 160 and boiling with 170. So not only
This one's 162?
Yep.
That's weird.
So not only is boiling the least good, it has the most calories.
It's the heaviest. It's like the manliest one, I guess. Is how.
No. We're running a
'Cause it doesn't taste good.
We're running a smear campaign on boiling root beer.
Boylan, we have nothing against you. It's
You're
just
gonna get a cease and desist email from Boiling. Be like, that one guy's really mean. We worked really hard at this. We beat Barks. Like, no, you didn't.
what year did this one come out?
I don't care.
Does it
as long as
say?
it's good. But look, interwebs. You see that bubble?
That is.
You need some foam.
I have a feeling this one's gonna be really good. Here we go.
This one smells neat.
Mm-hmm. That one's different than all of them.
I don't know if I like that.
I need to try again. That one's smooth.
Do you get some licorice there?
It's like,
It gets some weird.
yeah. I haven't figured it out. That is so weird. They all have 160.
That's not even like in the same. We'll put Sioux Falls as like an off to the side. Good, but not root beer.
But get this. Guess what their phone number is?
281-330-8004. Hit Mike Jumps on low.
No, I wish. It's 800-969-ROCK. 69-ROCK.
Why?
I don't know. It's just their number.
I'm gonna stop by Sioux City on my way and be like,
Oh, you are going there.
I'm going right by it actually, so I may stop by and be like, what was your thought process in creating your root beer, sirs?
I need you to find out what year they were founded because that's the only factor that we don't have.
That's a determining factor in their ability.
Yeah, somehow Barks is still the best. I just wish Barks came with like a cool bottle.
Oh, they do.
They have a cool bottle?
Yeah, just not here.
I've only seen the can.
So they mass produce them and send them out in cans, and like bottles in gas stations. But they're like plastic bottles.
Yeah.
If you go to Mississippi, they have them in the big like Coca-Cola bottles. It's a Coca-Cola product.
Oh, is it? I guess I could see that. It is kind of like, it has like a Coca-Cola vibe for sure.
Well, it was like it existed on its own, and then Coca-Cola bought it.
Of
so
course.
it's bottled by
Yeah.
Coca-Cola.
Of course.
Why do I know so much about this?
Yeah. Why
Yeah.
do you know so much about root beer?
I really like Barks root beer.
Barks only.
Barks only. Now you see why I said when you said root,
Barks
when you said
only.
what do you want to drink, I said Barks root beer, and then what is the best one? Barks root beer.
You know, I'm glad, and I've done this twice now. So the first few episodes we had alcoholic drinks. These are non-alcoholic, just per request, and same thing for Austin.
What? No.
Wait, what? per request, and same thing for Austin. And when I went to the store, Austin was like, "Yeah, I want Snapples." And when I went to the store, there were like so many different teas, and I was like,
That
"Oh,
you
like these
never
look
even
nice."
realized.
Yeah, these look nice, and I almost bought like other other teas, and instead I was like, all right, I'll just get a bunch of Snapples because that's what Austin wanted. Turned out great. I was at the store earlier. I literally was like seeing all these different brands, and there were more than just these.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I was like, do
there's
I
tons,
also
man.
still need Barks? And I was like, well, he said specifically Barks. So from now on, if my guest says it, they are getting the brand, and I won't even think
We've
twice.
got to be self-experts in what we do, and
Yep.
that's
Yep.
definitely Barks root beer is where it's at. I mean, just in general, there's different. It's so funny that people have like these regional like favorites of stuff.
Yeah.
So like I grew up all over the Southeast, but like primarily Mississippi. I love Barks. I don't know what it is. Back home,
It's just
you
best.
get a po' boy and a Barks, you're set.
That sounds good.
It's like the Mississippi special. Every time I go back home, I get a po' boy. I get a bag of Zaps. Have you ever seen Zaps?
Those are so good. What is the bag
They're
with
from
the multicolors on it?
Yep.
What flavor is
Voodoo.
that? Oh,
Voodoo gumbo.
man.
You get
Those are the best
you get
chips
a
in the
crab,
planet.
You get a crab meat and cheese po' boy, dressed and pressed. You get a Barks root beer, or Barks also makes a cream soda, and they also make a red cream soda.
Whoa.
Mind blowing.
I bet that is delicious.
You get a bag of Voodoo gumbo, Zapp's potato chips.
Man,
You're all in for like $7, and your life's changed.
that's like 40 in New York.
Oh, dude, it's just nuts how that stuff works out. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very loyal in that aspect.
Yeah.
Root beer only.
Barks only.
Barks only. I'm gonna get that. This is my next tattoo.
Barks only. Get
Barks.
this awesome logo with the little
Bangs.
bangs. Get it misspelled. Just make sure that your tattoo artist isn't your ex-girlfriend.
I think I would have a lot worse things to worry about if she had a
Probably.
sharp needle.
Probably. Well, Zach, man, we've talked about podcast and politics and delicious root beers. Is there anything else you want to go over while we're on the podcast, man? Anything in particular you want to talk about?
Man, I'll say the quick part of this, and then the one thing that I do want to give props for.
Yeah.
I've just been super appreciative of my time here in Murfreesboro, of everyone I've interacted with at MTSU. So that's been awesome. I know that's not necessarily matters to everyone, but I just really have loved my time here.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is just, I'm really passionate about mental health, especially with men and the aspect of it. And I think there's just so much further we can go and so much more we can do. It's not something that I'm trying to sell. We get a lot of speakers that are trying to sell this or sell a brand or make an image.
Yeah.
I share my story, and it doesn't bother me, to go through it. And so my biggest thing, some students know and some don't. It's on my Facebook, and I've put it out there, but I didn't advertise it. I was tagged in it when I gave a speech.
Yeah.
Last December, I had the opportunity at AFA, which is the Association of Fraternity and Sorority Advisors, big conference for us that we do, to do what's called an Ignite speech, and it's basically a 7-minute TED Talk, a quick, talking about fraternity and talking about impact and all those things. And I actually I was chosen to do that, and they usually only choose keynote speakers, big guys, names you had heard of. I was not. It was oh, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and Zach. It's nobody knew who I was.
The bottom of the poster.
Yeah, but it was a really great opportunity.
Yeah.
And I was really fortunate. I got to share a little tidbit of my story about my mental health and where I've come from and how I've grown. And so my biggest thing that I always want to tell everybody, everyone always says it's okay. And it's okay. It's not that bad. You shouldn't be sad. You shouldn't be upset. Own it. You can be upset. You can be going through a hard time. You can deal with struggles and all these different things, and be going through a rough season of life. The biggest thing I can always tell everyone, and I'm not going to say it's just going to get better. It's not the next day. There's not going to just be a time when you can just force it.
Yeah.
But you have to really just embrace the fact that you make the decision of what the value is in your life. And if your value is not at least a little bit on yourself, you're always going to be pushed in that, in that difficult area of mental health. And so my biggest thing when I try and talk to people, when it comes to this, and I'll put myself out there, call the suicide hotline, do all those things. You have got to be able to talk about what's going on in your heart and in your head. You've got to be able to process those. If you're dealing with those things right now and you're internalizing them, I'm begging you, talk to somebody. It doesn't have to be a therapist. I don't like therapists. It doesn't work for me. Some people have to take prescriptions. I'm very fortunate. It's not something that I have to do.
Yeah.
But in processing different things, it could be someone at your church. It could be a buddy. It could be whatever it is. But you need to think about it and talk about it with someone outside of your own head. Because if you keep it up there, it's going to infest every aspect of what you do. It's going to be in your dreams. It's going to be there with you when you're at work. It's going to be there with you when you're doing something you should love and enjoy. It's just going to be there. Even if you're going through a good time, it's still going to be there at the back, and then you'll end up back in it. And so the biggest thing I can say is that, not just as men, but just in general, please, please, please. And it's not, people say, oh, get help. You don't necessarily need help. You've made it this far. Congratulate yourself on the fact that you are getting through life with something that is tremendously difficult. And if no one else, and I mean this, if no one else has told you this, if you're dealing with a struggle with mental health, if you're going through something, if you've had depression, if you have suicidal thoughts, if you have anything, I'm proud of you. This is hard. This sucks. It's not something that most people can understand. And it's so hard when you talk with family, and it's so hard when you talk with friends, and sometimes you just need a third party who just doesn't know you, but they may know your struggle. They may know what you're going through. Find that. I can 100% say that, me calling the hotline saved my life, without a doubt. I was on the phone for 45 minutes with the lady, talked through everything. She told me about all the resources that were available for me, all the things I could do. She listened to me and let me get it out and let me talk about it. And it just really changed my perspective and view on it, in that I finally just shared it. And then it took a long time, to that point in December when I shared the story of, how I attempted suicide. And it was still very fresh. It was July of last year. And everybody that has heard about it is oh my gosh, I saw you right before that or right after that. I had no idea. Nobody had any idea, you know? And that was the thing too, is like people were upset because they're like, oh my gosh, if you would have known, nothing would have changed. That's the hard part. It is for the people that are going through it. It is not your job to fix us. There's nothing you can do to just fix us and just make that work. We've got to do it. And sometimes it takes making the stupidest mistake to really get it. You know, I am so blessed and lucky, like 100% lucky. I should not be here. Like, I should not. It's in out, be out. But now I have the opportunity. I've gotten to share my story, you know, in front of a couple hundred professionals who do what I do at different campuses.
Yeah.
You know, I'm getting to go to a bigger university that, you know, I'll have some more opportunities to go out and speak on the side. My motto is still, and genuinely, pay for my gas. I'll sleep in my car. I don't care. I think it's worthwhile, and I think people need to talk about it. And I think people need to, you know, I'm not saying everybody who's gone through that needs to be able to talk about it. I'm just really fortunate that, like, in the gifts I've been given, one of them is public speaking, and I'm not saying I'm great at it, but I feel comfortable enough in it that I can share what I've been through. And so for me, you know, I think more people need to understand, not the whole, oh, you're not alone, you can feel alone, and that's okay. But what you need to understand is you can be okay alone. You can be, you know, you have to be enough for you. What everybody else thinks and feels and what they want you to do and their opinion of how you're living your life or whatever it may be, you've got to be happy with what you're doing. And that's the biggest thing for me is, you know, I got a great compliment the other day from someone saying that, you know, and someone I look up to who works at MTSU, and she looked at me and she said, Zach, she said, I just want you to know I'm proud of you. And she said, you have come so far, you know, since last August. And she didn't know, you know, she may know, I don't know, but we had never had a direct conversation about what happened. And that's what it's for, man. You've got to be able to embrace that part of yourself. Know that it's there. Know that it's a challenge. Not necessarily just attack it, but just be willing to work. Just be willing to process, because I promise you, if you just keep it inside, it'll just eat you up. You know, it'll eat you up in whatever manner, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it's unhealthy relationships, lowered self-worth. You know, you've got to get out and talk to somebody. And that is really something that I'm passionate about. And I genuinely mean this. Like, if you're going through a hard time, you hear this, you see this, you know me, you don't know me from Adam, whatever it may be, hit me up. Like, I'm more than happy to talk more about, like, what I did, but I'm not telling you it's going to work for you. But what I can tell you is that I will help you find a resource. You know, there are websites for it. I don't know the number. I don't know it off the top of my head. But it sat on an index card next to my bed for about 6 months after the only time I attempted suicide. That card sat there. And I knew that if I needed to just talk, I could call that number. And I was never pushed. I was never, asked any questions that were hurtful or anything. I was just, and they weren't upset. It's just an opportunity to let it out. And I think that's where there's so much in it. Because I can promise you, people may say, oh, suicide's selfish, it's this, it's that, and the other. Right now, if you're living for someone else, or if you're living to not hurt your family, or if you're living for all those things, you are worth living for. You as a person, you are worth living for. You are good. You are enough. You have a life worth living. The life you live is a blessing, but it is also hard. And I know it's hard for you, and I know it's a struggle. And I hate that we wrap back into this whole thing, but I just think it's really, I hope that, with me and people don't know the people that they interact with on a daily basis that go through a struggle with mental health. I am very blessed now that I am genuinely happier than I've ever been in my entire life when it comes to with myself. Mm-hmm. Good with who I am, good with where I'm at, fantastic opportunity in front of me. I'm just incredibly blessed and fortunate to have good people who have helped me through all of this. But at the same time, if I didn't think that I was enough, I couldn't do any of this. And so what people need to understand, outside of a number, outside of a tagline, whatever it may be, you've got to understand that you are enough. You are enough for you. You are good. You have purpose in being here. May not be here right now. You may not understand. You may think you were supposed to marry that guy. You may think that that girl is your whole world and everything revolves around her. You know, what I'm telling you is that you've got to treat yourself that way. You have got to be the center of it. Not be selfish, but if you're not okay, nothing you do is going to be okay. So you've got to start with you. You've got to take care of yourself. Whatever that looks like for you, please do it. Figure out what it is. If it's the gym, if it's, playing video games, there are a million ways you can do it. But please find out what that is for you and embrace that, because I promise you, it's worth living. This life we have is an incredible thing. The chances of being born human are this astronomical number in the first place. You are here, and the great part is if you don't know what your purpose in life is yet, guess whose power that is? That's yours. You define that. You decide. You decide what you're gonna do. I decide what I'm gonna do. We get to make those decisions. Isn't that an incredible thing that we even have that opportunity? Some people live and die their entire lives without getting to make a choice about what they want to do. We have that. You have that opportunity. So please take full advantage of that. Figure out what it is that you want to do. And guess what? Go out, do it, fail, reassess, do whatever it is that's going to make you happy. Figure that out. And it's going to be a try. It's going to be a try and a fail. I promise you it is. But, and that's right back into the whole Instagram and all that. None of that matters. None of that matters. It doesn't matter how many followers you have. It doesn't matter what the comments say. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. Like, you put out there what you want to put out there. You put pictures out there or whatever you want to about yourself. Do it. If it makes you feel good, then you do it. And that's, I think, the biggest thing that I like. If I can give that's my little 5 minute of just where I think we as a society need to be more embracing, and not look at it as a problem. I don't like when people say, you have mental health problems. Problem and solution, but, most problems have a direct solution. A lot of things with mental health don't have a direct, easy-to-find solution. When I think of a problem, I think of math. And there's almost always a solution.
Right.
There's not always something with mental health. There's not always something that's going to work for everybody. And that, I think, is where you have to be patient with yourself. You have to be patient with the people that help you. Because remember, you seek them out. They are trying to do and they may struggle with it. They may not be great at it. They may not understand what you're going through. But you're going to have family that are going to care about you, that are going to be confused about why you don't want to talk to them about it. You're going to have friends who aren't going to know about it and then find out about it and be like, oh my God, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. What? Don't be sorry. It's nothing to be sorry about. A lot of times you feel like you're a burden, just to be completely blunt, and you don't want to put that on anybody else. And so that's why I share what I share now, in saying that hopefully, I am who I am. Y'all don't know me any different except for the people that know me that are listening. But if you're just picking this up and you don't know who I am, you can listen to the first 45 minutes of this and never guess that that's part of my life and part of my story.
I'd say so.
So guess what? I just completely changed your perception of what you thought about mental health, or what you thought about happiness, or what you thought about success, or any of those things, because you had a preconceived notion and I don't fit that. And so what I'm telling you right now is, if you have a preconceived notion about mental health, or you think that someone is a certain way because they say that they're dealing with anxiety or depression or whatever it may be, throw that out the window and ask them how they're doing. I'm not asking how you can help, just ask them how they're doing. Do that for me. Please, please, please do that for me. You're going to see a tremendous amount of change. You're going to feel something that you probably have never felt before, in just a genuine care. And that is, worthwhile. So there's my 2 seconds. That's my platform. I just feel like it'd be wasted if not saying it. But man, I just appreciate the opportunity to do that in my quick second. And it genuinely, I mean it. I mean it. If you, and people have done it before, and I am 100% behind it. I ain't going to go viral and all that crazy stuff. But if you're out there and you know who I am and you feel uncomfortable talking to me about it, I understand that. My notion and my perception of you is not going to change. I promise you. But if you don't feel comfortable with it, that's fine. I will direct resources towards you. If you want to talk to me about it, great. If you want to share everything, great. If you want to ask questions, if you want to ask for help, if you want to ask about what I do, great. You are trying, and I will forever be in your corner as long as you are trying to help yourself. And so that's where we're at, man. And that's things like this, little opportunities. That's what helps. That's what helps change it. Whether it's a song, whether it's a a blog, a podcast, people have got to just share more ugly stories. Don't cool. You were all on spring break. Great. Like everybody posted the same 5 pictures. I promise you.
Yes, yes, they did.
Nothing was original. That's okay. I'm not telling you have to post about the panic attack you had last week. But what I'm telling you is that you can share those kind of things, and if someone ridicules you for that, then guess what? You know who's not your friend. You know who's not adding value to you.
Mm-hmm.
So leave them out. I don't see a negative in that. You know you matter. Whatever they think, if they don't see value in your story, then they don't have to follow you. That's my biggest thing with it. I'm out there. If you want to talk to me about it, if you need help with it, whatever I can do, I'm going to try and do. Because I 100% believe that I'm here and I'm fortunate enough to still be breathing for some reason. And I'm not 100% sure what it is, but I believe I can do good things, if given a platform. And this is a platform, man. So I appreciate you giving me a platform and getting to
of course, man,
talk about this and good funny stuff. But at the same time, I hope somebody is able to see this and kind of shift what they think about it.
I think that's what it's all about, man. That's the whole thing, is get to know people, is what my podcast is really about. Yeah. So, man, I appreciate you telling that story. I know that, I don't know if that was easy for you, but I think a lot of people need to hear stuff like that. And I think that's great that you told that. I feel like there is a good momentum to this conversation now, how it started, where it wound up, and the story that you just told. So I do appreciate you telling that story, man. And how can people keep up with you? Remind everybody of how they can...
honestly, the best thing for me, and it's not like I say that Instagram doesn't matter and then I'm going to plug my Instagram because that's right. My Instagram, it's goofy. You can search my name. You can search Zak Gosa-Lewis and it'll pop up. But I've had the same Instagram handle since I created my Instagram. It's at Dwight Iverson, DWIGHTIVERSON. Yes, that is a play on White Iverson by Post Malone. You're welcome. The White Larry Bird was already taken, so I couldn't do that.
Almost had it.
I was by a hair. And he only had, he didn't even have any posts, so I'm real salty about that. But Dwight Iverson's done me well, and no matter how professional or adult or whatever I end up being, if I get my doctorate, it'll be Dr. Dwight Iverson.
I think that's a great idea.
I don't care.
It fits you.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing. And I share pictures and I share, more so of what I'm seeing and what I'm doing, not for the sake of oh, wow, I wish I was doing that. I share that because you can be. You can be doing that. Mm-hmm. I work an office job. I live, not an ordinary life. Nobody's life is ordinary, but I live, a certain way. And I think for me, it's just an opportunity to show you can go out on the weekends and go camping. You can go out on the weekends and go do this and go do that. Quit binge watching Netflix and get outside.
I like that. Yeah,
I
agree.
And that's my thing with it, is that if someone sees that, this weekend, I'm incredibly lucky. I get to drive from here to Oregon. I literally get to drive across 3/4 of the country, 2,800 miles.
Wow.
I get to drive across in the next week.
Yeah.
I get to see country, part of the country that people don't get to see a lot, and that's incredible for me. But even if you're here in Tennessee, wherever you are, I guarantee you, within 3 hours of you, there's a state park. Go. Just go. Go one time. If you don't like it, go back to Netflix. That's fine. Listen, watch Stranger Things season 3. Whatever else it is, that's fine. That's always going to be there. Go out and enjoy nature while you can. Go out and get there and do it. And that's the biggest thing for me, is that if you follow me, that's what you'll see. You're not going to see a bunch of inspirational quotes and all that kind of stuff. Or I may transition it to where I start talking about weight loss and kind of share that piece, because I genuinely think more men need to do it. And, I'm going to kind of call myself out and say I'm going to do it. I don't have any before pictures, so that kind of doesn't...
You're going to have to put on the weight, put it back on.
Yeah.
Then take before pictures.
I'm definitely going to do that.
And then do it again.
No. But it's just, that's kind of who it is. So I think people just be authentic, man. Because if people are following you on Instagram, they probably already like you. you have nobody to impress. And I think that's you can apply that to your social circle, your friends, your family, whatever it is. You got nobody to impress. Share what you want to share, be who you want to be, define who you are, and make yourself that person.
I love it, man. Wise words from a wise guy, a guy who's walking the walk and is making his way up the ranks, going to Oregon. This is somewhat of a farewell to you, Zak Gosa-Lewis. It's been super good knowing you, man. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, man. Quality content.
It's been awesome.
Yeah, it's seriously an honor that you come here before you leave Murfreesboro for who knows how long. Go to Oregon. I wish you the best of luck.
I appreciate it,
everybody from Oregon that meets this guy. Hello, I want to come visit soon. I'm a Titans fan, so by proxy, I'm a Oregon fan, I guess. So enjoy that. MTSU sending a lot of love your way, positivity, man. Everybody who met you appreciates the hard work that you put in, man. And last thing, I just want to thank everybody for watching. Please follow Dwight Iverson online. He doesn't have a Twitter yet, but I'm going to convince him to get one eventually, hopefully. Check out our page, The Cheers Pod. Feel free to rate us, subscribe to us. Any suggestions, things you like, drop it in the comments. Again, I always appreciate your watching. Y'all have a good rest of the week.
Yeah.
Good job, Zach.
Thanks, man.
All right, dude. That's it, man.
If you like what you hear, don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram at Cheers Podcast. Be sure to comment what you'd like to hear from us in future episodes. Thanks for listening.